Ah, I'm being tracked all the time. Okay, this needs to stop. Actually, you know what? Thinking about it, this might be the good kind of tracking. Come over here, and we can zoom in and take a closer look. How cool is that? Okay, that's enough of that. That's too close. Okay, so all of this tracking is being done in real time by this camera. This is the OBSBOT Tiny Lite, a 4K webcam that follows you around like a caffeinated intern and zooms in with a wave of your hand like you was Harry Potter. Okay, so OBSBOT sent me this camera to test. This video is sponsored, but as always, the opinions are very much my own. That's how opinions work. Okay, so let's find out. Is it finally safe to ditch your dusty old webcam, or is this just another gimmick with a flashy name? If you do YouTube, streaming, record courses, or just want to feel fancy on Zoom, then this thing does make your setup feel alive. The tracking is smooth and mechanical, like it's actually physically moving. It's not a digital pan and crop scan, whatever the terminology is pan and scan, pan and crop. Okay, it doesn't matter. But the webcam's motors are doing the pan and tilt in real time, so you can stay center frame without all the fake zoom tracking that reduces quality. And the best part is that you can control it with gestures. You'll have to forgive the lighting a bit while I'm on the webcam, because all of this is set up for the main Sony camera, and it's probably too bright for the webcam. But don't worry about that. But you can control it with gestures. So I can raise my hand and then the tracking will stop, and I can raise my hand again like I'm, summoning the teacher in a class, and we are back to tracking. And we can zoom in with this hand gesture, and it can put us back with the same hand gesture. And then you've got this one, which is a variable zoom. So we can zoom in and out all the way. Look at that. Beautiful. For years we've had cameras that are just still and boring and fixed to your forehead. So none of that anymore. So what happens when you give a camera a brain, a neck, and a job to do? You get this, and it's pretty cool. For streamers, this adds a whole new layer of polish. You can walk away or sway or hop over to your inflatable pool if you're on Twitch, and just lean back without becoming a pixelated blob. I tested this in OBS and it worked great. Plus, you can preset positions in the OBSBOT software. So if you want like a dramatic camera move, like you're in some kind of music video, I don't know, you can do that. It supports up to 4K at 30 FPS, which is what I would use it at if I was recording something like the video that you're watching now. But for streaming, I would probably most run it in 1080p 60 FPS for that buttery smooth movement, because YouTube for some reason still hates high bitrate video. You can also use this with your Stream Deck. Look, you can just press your little button and it moves. How awesome. Okay, so I've also used it in a couple of Zoom calls. Well, there were Google Meet calls, and it's held up incredibly well. No problems with that. That should probably be the easiest part of its job anyway. It has dual mics with noise cancelling, so it doesn't sound like you're calling from inside a blender. This is my voice on the OBSBOT Tiny Lite with no audio processing behind it. This is the audio test I forgot to do on recording day. It is with the noise cancelling switched on. This is my voice on the OBS Tiny Lite with some audio processing behind it. Okay, so you can decide if that is enough for you, but personally I would always use an external mic if it's something like a stream or something important where people come to see me for some reason. Yeah, it has low light, HDR, and beauty mode. As you can see right now, we are the opposite of low light. In fact, I'm blinded by lights, but we'll test out those right now. Okay, so it's daytime, and this is as low to light as I could possibly get. There's no main light on, all the studio lights are off. There's a little bit of sunlight coming in from the window. So this is the exposure settings set to manual. I've got it at one at over 60 and I think the lowest ISO that it will go to. So it's pretty dark, right? We can hit this auto exposure button, and that is pretty good for basically no light. If we compare that to the Sony camera that I use for YouTube, that's not bad if you have nothing and need to do that. So there's a compensation slider, so you can even adjust the gain on the light a little bit if it's too much or too little. Let's slide that down. So that's 3 and -3. Okay, yeah, -3 is too dark. So where it was at 0 was probably the best one. That is really good for basically zero light. And if we turn some of the lights back on to simulate a fully lit room, it should bring it back down. Okay, it's probably gone a little bit too high there, but we can adjust the compensation, which you can't see, but I will show you later. and that's at -1. So yeah, not bad at all, I think. Just flipped on HDR, and that's with 2 big studio lights on. I probably wouldn't use HDR and low light at the same time. HDR needs more light, so there's that. So I don't really know how useful HDR is going to be for streaming. I don't think any of the major streaming services support HDR yet, but if you're recording it to make a standalone video, it might come in useful if you want to boost the shadows in the dark areas a little bit. But keep in mind that you will need a lot of lighting for it anyway. That's just the nature of HDR. You need lights for that. We can look at the beauty filters. Here's one I set up earlier. Am I beautiful yet? Oh, okay. That's okay. So that there's 2 for women and there's 1 for men. Am I manly yet? Okay. So there are a lot of sliders that you can choose, and I dialed most of those to the right just for the lulz. But there are a lot of beauty filters on there that you can choose from to do all that. And also, I nearly forgot. Yeah, this is still on tracking. Sorry about that. There's also blur. So there's inbuilt background blur. Let's go zoom out back a little bit. There we go. We can add the standard background blur that you'd be used to for Zoom calls and things like that, but now it's kind of built in to the camera. Of course, if your hands go back, it's kind of a depth of field thing. So yeah, that's up to 7. That's up to 8. Probably 3 or 4 is nice. I think that matches to similar what I have on the Sony camera. You can install some NVIDIA video effects. If you install the NVIDIA SDK, you can then turn on advanced effects. I forget the name of it, but the NVIDIA camera software that adds a bunch of effects. I think you can run through that and get a better kind of blur if you want. One last time. I might do a whole video this way. Now, if you're not a creator, it still shines for remote work, and it keeps you centered of the frame no matter how much you fidget about, and it handles change in lighting conditions really, really well. The built-in microphones are decent. They're omnidirectional and with noise suppression, better than your laptop mic or anything that kind of comes with something. But if you're doing serious audio work, you still might want to grab an external microphone and run that through OBS or whatever you're using to record. The AI isn't just follow the face. You can fine-tune this when it comes to how it frames you. You can do your upper body, your close-up shot, headless shot, lower body, and you can even do certain tracking zones where you do want it to and don't want it to start tracking you from. So if you want to be slightly off-center, like you're in a Wes Anderson film, yeah, you can do that as well. The system for controlling zooming and tracking with your hands is called Gesture Control 2.0. It recognizes 3 hand gestures, which is zoom in, zoom out, and enable tracking, even when you're at a pretty good distance. You can create up to 3 non-tracking zones, so if you walk into one of those zones, it stays still and then resumes tracking when you leave it. And there's also 3 preset modes you can save for camera angles, zoom levels, and even tracking status, or beauty filters you can all tie to a preset. The tracking range is surprisingly good. I did everything short of jazzercising. Well, I did that without the camera on, and it kept up. I even tried to confuse it by dodging behind chairs, and it still found me. The OBSBOT Center software gives you full control. You can pan, tilt, zoom, control the mic levels, the AI toggle. You can do custom framing. You can also define zones and preset angles here. I mean, honestly, if you're into customization, this gives you enough without overwhelming you like a NASA dashboard. But there is both a simple mode and an advanced mode. And the advanced mode opens up all the settings, which is really nice to see because a lot of manufacturers kind of shy away from letting you change absolutely everything. But OBSBOT, it's fine. They let you do it. It's compatible with both Windows and Mac. And one of the nice things about this is that if you plug it in without installing the software, it will function as a normal webcam, but the AI functions, the tracking, the pinch to zoom, that all works without having to download external software and having that run in the background. So that's very nice, built straight in to the camera. And if you download the software, obviously you get much more advanced functions. You can control the pan and tilt zoom all manually. You can't do that without downloading the software, obviously, but you can control the AI functions and all that zoom kind of stuff, which is really nice. The gesture controls have been spot on. There may have been 1 or 2 times where I've tried to do something and it's missed, and I've just done it again straight after, and away it goes. That's very rare that happens, though. But what might happen is that you may do something by accident. Maybe you're holding your hand up like this and waving, and it turns the tracking off or on. That's something just to keep in mind, that you can accidentally trigger those things if you're not consciously thinking about which hand gestures you're doing. Having said that, in the OBS Center software, you can turn off certain hand gestures that you may or may not want to use. So if you don't want to turn the tracking on and off manually with your hand gesture, and you want to do that manually, you can turn that on and off in the center. And the same with the zoom as well. If you don't want the zoom to trigger when you do the hand gestures, you can turn that off as well. That's what I mean. They let you turn on and off all this stuff, which is something that you don't see from everybody else. So is it finally time to retire the dusty C920 that sat on top of your monitor? Honestly, yeah. The OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite feels like a legit upgrade for creators, for remote workers and streamers who just want their camera to do more than just sit there. Or if you're someone who wants a webcam that just doesn't suck, this is the one. But calling it a webcam doesn't really do it justice, because there's an entire creative ecosystem where you can mix and match other OBSBOT cameras and do like multicam setups all inside the same software. And there's an external monitor thing you can buy, which looks really cool. I'd love to try all that stuff out. If you want to check out this one, this is the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite. I will put a link in the description and probably the pinned comment. If there's a discount going on, I'll link that as well. If there's not, then I won't, but you can still check it out anyway. So yeah, do you think that this is the right level of tracking, the good kind of tracking? Let me know in the comments. If you like this, there's a like button that you can press for that as well. You can sub if you're feeling spicy. And as always, I look forward to your comments, and be excellent to each other.